Alright, welcome back everyone. So we just sat here in our previous video and we've learned our input and output page, our main routing, auxiliary HEC routing, and digital routing pages. Nothing has changed. We still have our outputs here on the right side, our inputs here on the left side. We've come over to DCM under signal management. We've learned that we can take this release and put it down to 1 second for having it switch over all the way up to 300 seconds, as well as our sensitivity. Now, after we're done doing this, what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to set crossovers. So I'm going to come over here to our main page, and now we're looking at our high pass, low pass, phase, time, and our gain sliders. So the first thing we're wanting to do here is we're going to come up here to the top, and we're going to click on amp out A and amp out B, which is our tweeters, and we're going to click this little box up here. Now what that little box does is links those two channels together. And so anything I do to the front left high is going to happen to the front right high. Anything I do to the front right high is going to happen to the front left high. Now, if you're running a fully active system, you're not always going to want this because that means they're not fully active. So when you go to equalizing, we're going to unlink those. But for right now, we're setting crossovers. So linking them together makes setting the crossovers go a lot faster. So let's go ahead and we're going to start here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to our high pass filter selection. I'm going to click here on characteristic. You can use your arrow keys once it's highlighted. We're going to go to link widths. Slope is -24. The reason we use -24 is because it's an all-around great slope to use. -12 is a more passive crossover slope, and -36 is a bit more harsh, more competition use. So -24 is a perfect all-around slope. A new feature that is in this software is we can actually come over here to our frequency, and we can type in what frequency we're wanting. It's always recommended that no matter what speakers you're using, you go on to their website and see what the recommended crossovers are. You want to do this. You don't want to just set a 25mm tweeter to 1000 hertz. You will blow it. So let's go ahead and set the crossovers here. We are using a three-way with hybrid audio tweeters, mids and lows, as well as some Claris subwoofers. So I know that I'm going to set this to 8500 hertz. Go ahead and click enter, and it all switches over for me. We're going to bypass our low pass, and because we are not going anywhere above 20,000, we want it to play as high as it'll possibly go. So we're done with our tweeters. We're going to go onto our mids, and just like before, we're going to go ahead and we're going to link them together. Start on our characteristic, link widths -24 dB. And I want these playing down to 250 hertz. Same thing with our low pass. We're going to go to link widths, -24 dB. And we're going to meet the tweeters right at the bottom at 8500. Now we're going to go onto our mid bass. Link them together. Go to our characteristic, -24 dB. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play these down to 40 hertz. I'm going to come over here to my low pass characteristic, link widths -24 dB. These are going to meet the bottom of our mid-range speakers at 250. Now we're going to go into our subwoofers and link those as well. We're going to bypass our high pass because we want it to play as low as possible. We're going to come to our characteristic, link widths, -24 dB, 40 hertz. And now we can come back to our tweeters, and we can sit here and unlink them. Just by clicking this red box, we're unlinking the tweeters now. Now subwoofers, I'm going to keep them linked together because they are mono. I've got dual 15s in the back of the car, so we want to keep them playing exactly the same. So whatever the left does, the right does, because they are mono. So we're going to keep those linked together throughout the entirety of tuning. And now we can move on to tuning our 30 band equalizer down at the bottom, putting an RTA in the car and everything like that. So just another quick point out here that we can do is over here you see on the right side a little sound button here. If you click that, that channel is now muted. So anything here where this little microphone is going to mute the channels. If you click the A, it's actually going to highlight our channels. So I know that every other one for us is going to be our right side. So now you can see exactly what those channels are doing by highlighting them on the graph. You don't need to leave them highlighted all the time, but if you like looking to see what's doing what, where they're being crossed over exactly, this is a good way to view it. It's just by clicking on the letter A there and highlighting it. Now, after we're done doing this, at this point we should be playing music. You can roll the volume knob up. Everything is safe because you went on to the website of the speaker manufacturer you're using and set the crossovers properly. So last thing we're wanting to do here is we want to go to save and store. Okay, save it. It will not save inside the processor after unplugging unless you save and store it. Now these DSPs, when you're having active tuning, so when you mess with an equalizer, it is physically doing that through the speaker as you are on the laptop. You're not having to save it and then hear the difference and then re-enter the software. It's continually doing it as you're messing with the software. So we're wanting to go to save and store. We're going to save it under preset 1 because we haven't saved anything under preset 1. We're going to go to test because this is for the video. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go ahead and save it over top of a file. Usually what you would do is save a brand new file name, and every time that you alter something in this preset number 1 here, we're going to save it and save it under a new name. So say I'm under tweeters. I'm going to go ahead and link these tweeters back together. If I'm under tweeters, I can come over here and I can actually use a shelf EQ because you know, if you like a little bit more out of the tippy top out of your tweeters, you can actually come here, shelf EQ it, and roll this up, and you'll get a nice natural slope going upwards. So I'm done here. I like it. I've messed with my EQ as much as I wanted to. I'll come back here. I'll unlink them from each other, and I'll go to save and store. But say I wanted this to be preset number 2. I'll go ahead and I'll save in the preset number 2. And come over here over test 2, save it. Go ahead and click yes. And now I've got 2 presets that are going to be loaded inside of the DSP.